This is right here is the sound of success. It is, I counted before I hopped on here. That is 159 blank pages with Leafs line programs on them. Do you want to know why I showed that today? I think you guys do know why, but
you kind of told us. But
I did tell you.
Told Sydney.
I ruined the surprise. I will tell the audience here. The reason why I'm showing you this huge, thick piece of paper, if you will, is because it is Leafs line's birthday this week, February 14th. That was the day I started this podcast, Leafs Line, of 2021. And then now it is 2022, 1 year old. We didn't get to do it on the exact day, but we did get it done this week. And today is the day we celebrate this podcast. I started off with two buddies of mine from my hometown, Bolton. Nobody knows where it is, and I don't blame you because, there's nothing here. But I started with them. I'll give them a shout out very quick. Aidan McCullough and Michael Iaboni, they were my gang for quite a while. We ran it through the summertime in the dog days of summer. We battled through that, trying to get content, scraping the bottom of the barrel for content. And we ended up making ends meet and doing pretty successful. And then I meet you three, and completely changed this podcast on its head. We get some great content in the World Juniors, even before that, a terrific team nonetheless. And we celebrate here today with the Leafs Line podcast first birthday, and one of many. There is many more to come, don't you worry. But for this episode of the Leafs Line podcast, as I always say, we have a jammed-packed show. We got the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins. They faced off tonight. We will be breaking down that contest between the two teams. Leafs getting some much-needed payback against the Pittsburgh Penguins after the blowout to start the year. I know I'm still remembering that one too, don't you worry. We'll also be talking a little bit more about the Leafs in general. And of course, the Calgary Flames, they have taken the NHL news by storm. They are, I believe, 8 straight wins it is at right now, 9-1 in the last 10. They are more than deserving of a topic on Leafs Line. We'll be getting into them, their depth, and what they're going to be looking like down the stretch. And if they really are a contending team, many people in the media are saying they are. I'll get your thoughts on that as well. And of course, I'm bringing back this segment. We have not done it with you guys, I don't think. I did it with my old partners on the show. And for one episode and one episode only, because it is our anniversary episode, the hot take segment. If you've been listening to the show for quite a while, you will know exactly what this is and how it goes down. I will break it down for you guys later in the show. And I'm not going to be a jerk here. I'm going to introduce my line mates here. I am joined with Evan Davis, Jared Rotenberg, and Adamo Romoli. And these three are going to help me unpack this game we have watched today. And there was some highs, some lows, and I think the biggest low of them all was in the first period, the first intermission. You wouldn't expect to see it, but the Leafs unveiling their new jersey for this, I believe it's the Heritage Classic between themselves and the Buffalo Sabres. And I got to hear your thoughts about it. I know we were rumbling about it, and I'm going to check it off the bingo card right now, get it done early. We were talking about it in the group chat, and I don't think there was a lot of happy praise there, and media had to test to that as well. So, Evan, I'll start with you. You're not a huge fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but you've been following them since you've been here in Toronto. You've seen some jerseys been walking around all over the Ryerson campus and all throughout Toronto. Where does this one rank amongst not only the Toronto Maple Leafs jerseys you've seen, but jerseys in general?
No, I'm not like a huge fan of it. I don't understand why the arena's like text is in the same color as the actual jersey. Like when they were showing it on Sportsnet, it looked like it just looked so weird. It's like, is that the arenas? Is it not? Like, is it just a tee? It almost looked like when they were placing the jersey as if there was like a shirt under the jersey that was like bleeding through. It just didn't look natural or right. And I don't know, maybe it's going to look different just with gear on. But I don't know. I just think it's like you got to choose one or the other. It just obviously when you're a fan from afar watching the game, you're not going to see the arenas part. So it just seemed like pointless to have it if it wasn't going to be white or like just a color that you can actually see in the distance.
Yeah, and I'm in the same boat as well. I mean, we all know how much equipment can make a huge difference to the actual presentation of the jersey. We saw it in the 2018 Stadium Series jersey when the Toronto Maple Leafs went to go put on a white. It was a great jersey. I thought it was a nice one that they've been adding, and they go with the white pants. That is not a great look whatsoever. So we'll see if they change it. I'm assuming they're going to go maybe brown pants, or they might stick to blue. I don't know what their call is, but no, the way they form that jersey in general. I have the Toronto Arenas jersey in my closet, and it's probably one of my favorite jerseys. I don't know. It's I just like the striping on it, the logo and all that stuff. It's pretty cool. But with the lettering that they did this year, that light blue, dark blue, whatever it was, not a good call. Jared, are you in the same boat here? What do you say with the jersey game? I know you're a big
I completely agree. I'm not a big fan of it. The one thing I'll say is I like the colorway of it. Like the navy blue is a really nice color. And initially this morning, what they did to kind of tease it is they just dropped a picture of what the neckline would look like and not show the whole jersey, of course. And when they dropped that, I'm like, hey, this actually has potential. I really like that color. It's a nice shade of blue that's a little bit different from the blue that we're used to seeing. Like a minor difference, but it's still nice to see. They're shaking it up a little. Like it looks almost old school. It's a very navy blue. And then they drop what the actual jersey is going to look like. And Evan kind of nailed it. The T is cool, whatever, to throw back to the Toronto arenas. Why is the word arena? Why is the word mark in blue if the jersey is going to be blue? It just doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. And it was very much an interesting choice, in my opinion. I am excited to see how it's going to look in a uniform because that does usually change things. But just looking at the jersey right now, I am not a fan of it whatsoever.
Yeah, and I know you're a big jersey collector as well. Romola, you got him in the background hanging there. You have your fair share. I have some jerseys in my closet as well. And it's this one is certainly not making its way to my closet. I am not purchasing that thing whatsoever. I like the blue. I'll absolutely agree with you on that one. But the way they put the lettering and that they couldn't do anything different from that old Toronto Arenas jersey, it's just not a big fan whatsoever. Romola, are you gonna go unanimous with this one, or are you gonna give me some answer to prove me wrong here?
No, man. I don't know how Adidas pays so much money. I'm sure they pay so much money to these designers and they just suck. Like how are we doing this? How are we as fans unanimously finding jerseys ugly, but like the designers just think it's cool? How does that even happen? I haven't seen one person like the Leaf jersey on Twitter. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen anyone like it. I don't know, it just sucks. The navy blue is cool, but you guys are focusing on the text. I think the text, it's whatever. There's nothing else on it. There is a blue sleeve and there is a blue jersey with like a inch stripe that you're probably not going to see because players tuck their jerseys in. So it's literally a practice jersey with a white tee on it.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think it's going to look pretty solid on uniforms just because I think navy blue always just kind of looks good. But fuck, it's bad. It is really bad. I'll say bottom, like I'd say worst Leaf jerseys since like the home jerseys of the 2013 era. Those were ugly.
Those were ugly.
Those were so
the
bad.
ancient world.
And we never really realized how ugly they were. We just kind of, okay, these are home jerseys, whatever. But look at what we have now. Those were the ugliest Leaf jerseys probably ever.
It's not even the jersey, it's the logo. I hated the old logo.
Yeah.
Even playing like PlayStation, I'd never use our home jersey. It was always
that alternate one, right?
Yeah. The alternate or the Winter Classic. I never was a fan of our old logo whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think because we didn't notice it, the team was just playing so bad. There were so many other things to notice around that time. I was looking at when Kessel broke into the league and played with the Maple Leafs in his early years, and I was looking at the jersey he was wearing. Man, that thing is ugly. Thank God they don't ever go back to it.
They didn't even have the two stripes, I don't think, because like what they did was they went from like just two stripes on the sleeves, nothing on the chest or on the torso. And then they added the two sleeves on the torso, which made it look somewhat better, but like, God, that was awful.
You can only do so much with an ugly jersey, and it looks like the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be dealing with that again this year. But we'll save the jersey talk for another day. We'll scrap it, and we'll get into the game that was actually played. The Toronto Maple Leafs coming out victorious. 4-1 is your final score. And a lot of nice goals from the Maple Leafs part. I don't know about you guys, but that Riley snipe had me going coast to coast. Probably the nicest goal I've seen him score in his career. I know Rasmus Sandino was seeing before I jumped on here. He said it's the nicest goal he's ever seen live from any player. So big praise from the defensive partner down there. But some nice goals.
He's not in the NHL a lot.
Oh yeah, that too. That'll do it. But I don't know. I'll take the NHL players account over mine, definitely. But hot and heavy game from both sides. The Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be coming out. They're always a highly offensive team, and they made it well known in the first period when they were pouring on shots at Jack Campbell. And credit Jack Campbell steering aside what Jared told me to be a season high 45 save performance from him. A game that he must, it was a season high for him. And I think it was a game that was absolutely needed. I think we're going to start right there with Jack Campbell because he steers aside the 45, and the home crowd was really getting him going. I heard the soup chants extra loud today, and if you do not know, there was, I believe, was it limited capacity?
10K.
It was 50%.
50%. So half capacity for this Maple Leafs game, and you absolutely heard the difference. I felt the energy just from watching from the TV standpoint. So what are guys' thoughts on Jack Campbell's play? I know heading in, Ramoli, we were talking in the group chat about the Leafs had any goalie controversy or goalie problems up and coming. And I don't know, did this game prove you anything different, or is it just one game is not what a season makes?
No, come on. It was one game that, he looked like early season Campbell, and the Leafs looked like not early season Leafs because that was a shit show, but more so like that. I guess when they won like 15 of 17, kind of that second part of the season. I think this team, they just look a lot more confident when Jack is in net. They tend to risk defense for offense, which can in turn bite you in the ass. But when you have goaltending like Jack Campbell, you feel like, I guess just thinking as a player too, when you have a stellar goalie in net, you kind of let teams take that shot because you're confident it's going to get saved. And that's just something Campbell was not giving the Leafs. And that's why you saw them blowing these leads. You saw these high scoring games.
So, absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing I noticed from the game in regards to Jack Campbell, not a lot of shots with him getting screened. That he had a pretty open lane to go save some pucks. So that was interesting to see. But nonetheless, he made a couple stellar saves. Jared, what did you make of Jack Campbell's game? Probably the best one we've seen in quite a while. Is this the one that gets him over that hump? And we're going to see some more momentum from the beginning, or not the beginning of the season, but that sort of middle ground of the season from Jack Campbell?
Yeah, I hope so, at least. I mean, of course, as Adamo said, it's only one game, so goaltending is all about consistency. We have to see if he could kind of string together a few good wins. But this is a way to kind of get him back to the confidence that he was playing at earlier in the year, because as Adamo again mentioned, he pretty much nailed everything. He was having a little bit of a slump in there.
Man.
He was in a bit of a slump. You look at his save percentage since he returned from that COVID break, it was bad. And he has not been playing like the early season Jack Campbell, and it showed in the way we were playing. Even though we were stringing together some wins as a team, they were not good playoff-esque performances, and that really, it had to do with the fact that our goaltender was not playing a confident game. And of course, as it's only one game, we have to see how he could string this together moving forward. But in this game tonight, he played a really good game. He played like a confident goaltender. And he needs that, because you can see when he's not playing well in his interviews and stuff, he's very much down on himself. This is one where he's going to be really happy with how he played, and you have to hope that it's going to lead to more good performances down the line, because he looks confident, the team looks confident in front of him, and overall, we just played a really good game, and it all started from our great goaltending performance.
Yeah, and I mean, great goaltending performances are going to be needed up in the upcoming stretch. I believe they got 6 games in their next 10 nights, so lots of hockey to be played. And I would not be surprised if Jack Campbell takes the whole workload, not the whole workload, but most of the workload down that stretch, because I don't know, you speak consistency, Jared. That's the name of the game in this goalie position. If this is a one-off, this is a one-off, but this can be something that he rolls with. And if you want to see if that's true, you're going to have to roll him. I don't see why he doesn't start. I believe they played the St. Louis Blues. They host them Saturday night. I think he can get that game as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they use Campbell down the stretch. And Evan, I'm going to turn over to you on the defensive side of things. Personally, from my standpoint, me and Jay were going back and forth with it before the show. We saw a big defensive performance from the entire team. I saw a lot of plays. Wayne Simmons was getting some pucks, scooping them off within the crease. That fourth line played a big role. I thought they had a terrific night. So many other offensive players were just playing key roles in getting the puck out of the own zone. Something we didn't see in the Seattle game, where they would get the puck, try to get it out, and it would be a full disaster and a fire drill in their own end. What did you make of the team defense tonight to get a strong Pittsburgh Penguins offense?
Well, I mean, yeah, anytime you give up only one goal, it's not a fluke. It usually has to do with the majority of the fact that you're being defensively dominant. And I just got to say, like, looking at the highlights, I wasn't able to watch the full game just because of doing our midterm, but Pittsburgh looked tired. And like, you even saw it like on the first goal that Austin Matthews scored. You're 20 seconds into the game and Letang and Crosby already look gassed. Like, that's not a great start to the game, and leaving Jari to dry against the NHL's top goal scorer. So, I thought that the Leafs, they definitely provided Jack Campbell with enough just to get by with the win. I hope Jack Campbell doesn't start against St. Louis, because it's just about durability. And although Peter Mrazek has his string of injuries, it's just Jack Campbell, as we saw his stats, he hasn't been well goals against average wise, save percentage wise. And, it's a completely different sport. But it just reminds me recently of like how everyone perceives the Lakers media. Like the Lakers just had a win against the number one team, Utah, and everyone's like, oh, are they back? But it's like, that was just one game. I'm not ready to say Jack Campbell's back until we see more consistency from him. But, this was a win that they needed after getting dominated 9-2 goal wise in the first two meetings against Pittsburgh. I was there when they played the Penguins last time at home, and the Penguins just dominated them defensively. So it's kind of just like a taste of their own medicine by the Leafs. But, overall, I think it's a win that you're happy about. But I still don't think Jack Campbell should be starting next game. I think after having a game like this, you got to give it to Mrazek, just because it's still February. There's still a chunk of the season left, and I'm just still not confident in Jack Campbell playing consistently because he just hasn't done it before.
And I hear you. And a lot of Leaf fans are probably going to synthesize that as well, just basically off the fact that we haven't seen too much of Jack Campbell recently, performance-wise, when it comes to success. And personally, from my standpoint, I need to see that consistency aroused. And I think that's going to happen if he plays this Saturday night game. And I think it's just because you want to see him get that other start. You have to build off something. He needed something to build off of. He got fed that today, and he put up a terrific performance on his part. So I know we're talking down the road. We can kick that. We can undress that when we get there. But no, I think Jack Campbell should definitely get that start on Saturday. It's going to be, I can see them going with Peter Mrazek, but that's obviously at the end of the day part of the head coach's job. But I want to turn this focus on the Maple Leafs defense, because that was a big storyline in this game to follow. And as well as the special teams too. They dominated the special teams play on both the power play and the penalty kill, scoring a goal in, I believe, the second consecutive game, which is something I don't see too much of the Leafs unless it's this year, because they've been pretty darn good on that shorthanded play. But Adam, I'm going to turn over to you. What did you make of the team defense? Did you see a lot of team defense from the Toronto Maple Leafs team? And was it something that we should be getting used to seeing? Because is this a place that Leafs are trending towards?
I'm actually going to go against the grain here. Oh my God. Sorry. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit here. And I don't think they played that great defensively. I thought they were just kind of average defensively. I mean, I don't want to bore you all with stats again, but like you knew where I was going with this.
Course.
Well, the Penguins said 3.5 expected goals, and I'm just looking at like the heat map, and there's a lot of slots from there's a lot of chances from the slot, but it's like I mentioned before, the Leafs are giving the Penguins that in cheating for offense, or I guess saving energy. I don't know what they're cheating for, but
you could tell that they were cheating for offense on the Matthews goal.
Yeah, there was a little bit of cheating for offense here, but that's because they trust their goaltender to make that save. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because good teams have great goaltenders. And if Jack Campbell can be a great goaltender, I don't mind if the Leafs cheat a little bit on defense if it doesn't mean they're going to concede. Now, if they're doing that with Michael Hutchinson in net, they're going to lose like 8-5, and no one wants to see that. But like there were a bunch of times tonight where Jack Campbell like is getting shots, and I think that's where a lot of the expected goals came from. A lot of like shots stuffed into his pads. Captain had one, Carter had one, Malkin had one, like shots literally in the blue paint. So like I honestly don't think it was fantastic. I don't think it was awful, but I don't think this was like a fantastic defensive showing from the Leafs.
And it's interesting to just see how much the analytics side, and we've been talking about it all day. We've been doing an exam for context about this new traditionalist, I believe it is, versus new rationalist stats versus the old school guys. That whole debate, we had to unpack that and get it graded this entire day. So stats has been definitely playing a role in my head all night. And just goes to show how you can see two different storylines from the game on the analytics side and from the eye test. I personally found that at least we're cheating a little bit for offense, but at the same time too, there's a lot of plays where they just ran themselves right back down the ice defensively to save a play. So it's just a matter of which way you want to look at it. I thought it was a terrific defensive performance, but maybe it just gets to proven otherwise. But I want to touch on this one last thing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was their special teams play, something that they've been striving off of all season long. I believe Pittsburgh Penguins go 0 for 5 on the power play. They're a team that runs through that power play. They got a lot of their offense from the special teams unit, and I believe the Leafs they scored a goal on the shorthanded play as well. And I think they had a power play goal as well with Riley's power play goal. It was, yes. Okay. So, a terrific special teams performance from the Toronto Maple Leafs, something that we've been seeing all season long. Jared, what do you speak towards this special play that we've seen from the Toronto Maple Leafs? And is this something that can maybe help them in the playoff situations where the penalties are far and few in between? Because they're seeing the capitalization now. Will it transition over to a different style of hockey?
Well, for starters, I'm going to hold my horses a little bit on the playoffs talk because, as you mentioned, I mean, you aren't getting the same amount of chances on the power play that you're going to get in a playoff series. So I'll hold off a little bit on that for now. But in general, the way we're playing right now on both the penalty kill and on the power play, we're absolutely flying right now. Like defensively and shorthanded, we're definitely shutting down teams when we have to. But as well, we are getting chances offensively, even shorthanded, and are rolling with those. So that's awesome to see. I mean, I'm definitely seeing a little bit of a balance of when we have to. We're getting a lot of chances from another team's power play. We're stepping up defensively on the shorthanded play and shutting teams down. But also, we've got a few chances shorthanded, and we've rolled with that and gotten breakaways out of it and chances out of it. So it's kind of nice to see that we're not completely going, balls to the wall, going buck wild, shorthanded, getting a million chances. But as well, when we get a little bit of chances, when we get that confidence, we're rolling. So that's nice to see shorthanded. And then on the power play, I mean, what more is there to say? We're currently the first place power play in the league, at least before the game I checked. And I believe they had even mentioned this on the broadcast. We're currently 4% higher than the next best power play in the league. So it goes to show, and it's even the eye test will tell you, not even looking at analytics, we're absolutely flying on the power play. Everyone's confident. We're getting a ton of chances on net, and that's resulting in a lot of goals. So it's really that is the reason that I find we're playing so well right now. And it's a big difference compared to even last year. One of the major differences is the fact that we're just playing very confident on the power play. We're getting goals, and it's not something that is draining our play, which last year I find what's weird is that our power play ended up draining our play. We'd be flying 5-on-5. All of a sudden we get a power play, but it would make us play worse for some reason. So big difference this year of it kind of lights a fire under us. When we get a chance on the power play, we are not letting teams kind of go unscathed for taking a penalty against us, because when we take a power play opportunity, we make teams pay for it. So it's really nice to see that. And one thing I wanted to mention just about the defensive side is the fact that tonight was the first time that finally Muzzin and Hall were split up. So that was awesome to see. And I really liked how the defense played in that sense. I do agree with Adamo in the sense that it maybe wasn't an absolute masterclass defensively, but it was a good game, and it was against an opponent that has been known all season long. I mean, okay, not all season long. We've played them twice, but in both of those games, they absolutely shut us down and were kind of running up the score, and we didn't allow them to do that. So I did like the way our team played defensively, and overall it was a really positive game in my opinion.
Yeah, big win for the Toronto Maple Leafs, a big 2 points. If they move into, well, they don't move. They are in third in the Atlantic Division. They increase the gap between 7 points over the Boston Bruins. They got a game in hand as well. So great game all around for the Maple Leafs, special team wise, offensive wise, and even defensive wise for the most part. It was a terrific performance from Toronto. I want to move on towards this other piece of news that I think is just as interesting. The Calgary Flames. I don't think we talk about them enough on the show. They don't get too much love on the Leafs Line podcast, but this week they're going to get enough of it. And Adamo, I know you were talking about a couple weeks ago, Calgary Flames. You were expecting to see a red hot performance from them. And granted, they came through, and just in testament to your take and what we can see the capabilities of this team when everyone is firing on all cylinders. They are 9-1-0. I mentioned off the top of the show in their last 10 games, winners of 8 straight. And they've done it on against all kinds of teams. The Vegas Golden Knights, they destroyed a Vegas team. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they manhandled the Maple Leafs. I have to bring up the old wounds. This is what the show's all about. And they also took care of the Arizona Coyotes and the Columbus Blue Jackets. You're getting a full range of wins there. And decisive victories too, nonetheless. It's been over 3 goals. So the offense is definitely humming for this Calgary Flames group. And the reason why I think it's humming, the depth is finally coming out to play. Blake Coleman, he has been a force to reckon with right now. He's getting his minutes up on the top 2 lines. I know he started off the year a little bit lower, and it was not a good fit for him. He's moved up, and he's doing perfectly fine down there. And another piece as well, Dylan Dubé. He's been a terrific scoring threat on the bottom 6. The one guy that has not clicked yet, and this is getting increasingly concerning as the Flames rack up win after win, Sean Monahan. This guy, if you want to talk about careers that are starting to fall off, this guy is getting pretty darn close. He was a 30 goal scorer, 20 goal scorer consistently.
It's like a 70-point guy.
He was
70 points.
Him and Johnny Hockey were like the dynamic duo.
Yeah, fuck.
They were the duo in the West, man. And not they. Goudreau's been keeping it up quite consistently. But Monahan, man, just a nosedive from him. When are we going to see something shake up from him? Because if they do, I am very interested in putting this team into a legit contender. But it does not look promising for him whatsoever this season. Ramoli, what do you see from this guy? Are we ever going to see him wake up? It's not like it's just a year off thing. This happened the year before that. It is a consistent spell of poor play from Sean Monahan.
Well, I think Monahan's kind of changed his game. I think when he was putting up like that, I think he put up like 78 points or something ridiculous, and it earned him a contract. I don't think that's really who Sean Monahan is. I don't think he's this big offensive guy. I think he's more of a power forward, and he's fit more for that middle six role. And I think that's why you're not going to see him put up a ridiculous amount of points this season. Obviously, the Flames are doing incredible, and part of that is due to Sean Monahan being able to play his role. He may not be a good first liner. He may not even be a good like second liner, but he's been a great third line center. He's been sound defensively. He's been able to play with Blake Coleman. I think he's with Dylan Dubé on the left. I don't have the lines in front of me, but like I wouldn't be too worried about Monahan just because he's at this point, he's probably a middle six, bottom six, almost a Kerfoot-esque to compare him to the Leafs. That's probably like that slot in the lineup, third line center, occasionally dabbling in the second line.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd like to refute the crap out of that, Adamo. I respect you because you did say that the Calgary Flames would pick it up, and I was the one who did give them a lot of shit, and now they're first in the Pacific Division, so it is a credit to them. I disagree with your point because Sean Monahan's getting paid $6.25 million. And I agree with you though, because I do think he is great defensively, and he is a reason why the Calgary Flames are winning by such comfortable margins. I just refute with your point that if you're comparing him to Alex Kerfoot, that's a little bit of a situation there.
What do you mean?
You're saying that like he could play a role of bottom six, but dabble in the top six. My argument is that he's getting paid to be a permanent role.
Oh, absolutely. I could probably mention he's overpaid as hell. But like, if we're just looking at him on the ice,
that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying like his role based on his contract.
It should be top six.
It should not be Kerfoot because no disrespect to Alexander Kerfoot, but he probably makes as much in his career as Sean Monahan has made this season.
And
I'm just saying, so look, Monahan, he has one more year left on his contract.
He's not going to get paid.
I don't think the Calgary Flames are going to re-sign him just for the mere fact that they're doing fine without him scoring offensively. And as great as like Sean Monahan isn't great defensively, like he's not like a Philip Deneau where Deneau gets paid $6 million, but he does stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Sean Monahan has 21 points and is a minus 18 on the ice. So I don't like, I see him maybe getting a 3-year deal, maybe even a 2-year deal somewhere else. I don't see how the Calgary Flames can say, we're going to pay this guy just the same amount of money and production's going to be,
won't.
Maybe
he gets what, 4?
I don't even know if he gets 4. No, not 5.
Because he's probably in the 4 range just because his reputation around the league.
Yeah, I get
There's no way Sean Monahan
he's definitely
gets,
not. I would just say, I wouldn't even like say 4 and change. I would definitely say like a 3 times 4 maybe. And like, I mean like a straight $4 million, because if you're looking at his production, I think he was an all-star back in 2017, I want to say. And since then, it hasn't been the same. And, people made the excuse for Johnny Gaudreau that it was contract negotiations or whatever, but now he's picking it up. So it's like, what's the excuse for Monahan? He just hasn't been that guy lately. And, maybe the Calgary Flames even consider shopping him and seeing what they can get in return, if anything that would help their team. Doesn't have to be immediate impact, but something in the future.
And it is important to note that Sean Monahan did sign the contract in 2016, I believe it was. Around that time, he was a consistent 60-point player. So I think when you're looking at the dollars and cents there, he was definitely worth it. And the contract
No,
did not
I
age
don't
well
agree.
whatsoever.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I'm just saying for his current, I know I've
Oh,
been talking
absolutely.
a lot. I'm just saying for
It's a
his current
podcast.
role now. I'm sorry. I'm just saying for his current role now and how much he's getting paid. That's why I hate when, and I think that's why GMs hate too, doing these long-term deals with these risky type of players. Like coming out of your entry level, even guys like Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves took bridge deals. Matthew Tkachuk took a bridge deal. You know, maybe Calgary's now looking at Sean Monahan as a prototype and saying, the next guy that comes out of their entry level, we're not going to commit to them for 7 seasons after. We're going to look at a Matthew Tkachuk situation where we'll give him 3 times 7. And it's turned out very well. Matthew Tkachuk will definitely make $8 million. He'll definitely get a pay raise by the time his bridge deal's done. I just think that should be their approach going forward. And fortunately and unfortunately, Sean Monahan's your prototype.
Yeah, and I mean, I never, like, I remember growing up watching this kid, and it was never like I thought he was going to be a risk player. He was so offensive. Like, this is the thing, fallen from the top of the tree, man. He was a very good offensive player. He was putting up a lot of points, and it just complete downhill.
Yeah.
And I know he changed his role. And again, to your credit, Evan, you shouldn't be paying a guy. And you mentioned a great example with Philip Deneau. You're paying Philip Deneau that money, but he's not going to be contributing whatsoever in the box score or anything. He's going to do the little things defensively that are going to help win you games. Sean Monahan is going to probably fall around that spot. And I think in the next upcoming years, when he's going to sign that contract, you're not going to see him being paid for anything worth offensive stats because it's just not there anymore. You look at the +-2, and I know +- is sort of like a stat with no context. It doesn't prove the full story. And I'm sure if you go dig deeper into Sean Monahan's analytics, and I'm sure Don was doing that as I'm speaking right now.
Oh,
but,
I have him. I have him.
Absolutely.
And
And
he's like above replacement level, like standard defensive player. Like he's nothing special, but he's not bad.
Yeah, and I mean it's just a test to given that money, and you mentioned it perfectly, Evan, the prototype. Not the right prototype that you'd like to have on your hands if you're the Calgary Flames, but unfortunately, this is something that turned into. I'm not going to say something terrible because I think if the Calgary Flames do go on a run, Sean Monahan's still going to play an important part. Defensive forwards are always still valued in the NHL, so I'm sure he can still play a role playoff wise. But
boys, I'm
so is this about the parlay?
I just won $55 off a free parlay.
That is always
Gotta
an
be.
interruption any day of
Dude,
the week.
I text me because her mom did the same thing. And I was like, don't, she goes, Giannis sucks right now. I'm like, don't worry, he'll turn up in the fourth quarter. And he had 15 points and 4 rebounds to win me $55.
That a boy.
Oh, you gotta love it. When the bets hit. Love
dinner on Evan. Oh, Mel's mom won $340 off a $40 parlay.
Oh my Lord.
And she didn't even she put 40 by accident.
Yeah, I wish that was the case in my life too, but
Jesus,
sad to say is not. Ramon, you got any stats that sort of
guys,
back up the Sean Monahan, and then we'll move away from Mr. Monahan and focus a little bit more on the Calgary Flames in general?
Not really, but if we're gonna focus on the Calgary Flames in general, I don't want to talk about it too much because this kind of brings me into my hot take segment. Because like sneak peek, my hot take is about the Calgary Flames. So this is up to you, Mario. Do you want to go there?
I'll go to Jared. Jared, you got any thoughts on the Calgary Flames? I mean, you didn't really get much time to speak about this team, but I don't know. They bring in Tyler Toffoli. The team's improving lately, and I think over the last stretch of month or two, they've been proving to Treliving that they're a team well enough to play and contend. And Treliving went out and said, you know what? I'm going to give you guys a reward. I'm going to grab you Toffoli. What were your thoughts on that trade? The Montreal Canadiens swap. I don't know who they sent the other. I think it was just Toffoli.
Oh, hold up. I have it up. They have got, so it's Tyler Pitlick, a prospect, Emil Heineman, a 5th round pick, and a 1st round pick.
For context, Heineman was ranked their 7th best prospect. Wow. So it's like a
so valuable guy.
Wait, who was the last one you just mentioned?
Emil Heineman.
Oh,
okay. Don't worry. He's like exactly. He's a C+B level prospect.
Yeah, I really like that trade, and I think both teams got what they wanted. Mm-hmm. I mean, no one that the Montreal Canadiens got is going to step into their lineup, but they're also in complete rebuild mode, and they don't need anyone to step into the lineup. And for the Calgary Flames, as much as sure it might age badly, but Toffoli's a guy that's going to step into their lineup right now and make them an even more scary team. First of all, the regular season, but also come playoff time. Already, I was scared of the Calgary Flames. Now they just added a solid goal scorer in Tyler Toffoli. So this is a very good team. They're playing great hockey right now. Not only running up the scores like some other teams, but they're playing a good defensive game right now. And this is a team that maybe it wasn't expected going into the season, that everyone knew they were going to be, solid. They're in the Pacific Division and are one of the stronger teams, but they are really coming out of nowhere this year and showing up, shutting down teams defensively, while also Johnny Gaudreau is back and he's scoring in bunches right now. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this Flames team. They're playing a great game right now in all areas of the ice, again, offensively and defensively. And overall, I like what I'm saying, what I'm seeing from that team. And I think this is a team that can make some noise come playoff time. Depending on who they have to play, they aren't the best team in the West or anything. But because the West is very up and down, there's very clear good teams and very clear weak teams. It's possible that they're going to get an easy road to maybe making some noise come playoff time. And that could make the Flames a team to look out for as we start a little bit previewing the playoffs. Not that we are right there yet, but it's February. We're starting to near it, and the Flames are a team to look out for. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if we're now getting to a point where standings are going to be something we start to watch. I know normally for the NHL season, I never check standings whatsoever until maybe the last 2-3 months of the season, 3 is being generous. But now's the time where we start taking a closer look on other teams. And you put it perfectly, Jared. There's teams that are there and the teams that are just not. And it's an up and down cycle when it comes to the Western Conference. And I want to ask you two, Evan and Adamo, respectively, what are your thoughts on the trade? I know this is probably the closest thing we've seen to a blockbuster trade in recent news in the NHL, which is quite sad. Evan, I'll start with you. I personally, for me, I'll give my little slice here. I thought both teams won it. I think maybe the Montreal Canadiens could have got a little bit more just because of the term with Tyler Toffoli. The contract's very suitable, but you're sort of grasping at straws at that point. They got a great haul. What were your thoughts on the trade overall?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mario, there that, maybe they could have gotten more. But I think the main thing that stands out to you if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan is the fact that you got a first round pick,
absolutely.
which is ideally what you want for Tyler Toffoli, given the contract, 4.25 still for this season, and then 2 more to follow. He'll definitely get a pay raise. And if it is with the Calgary Flames, then the Calgary Flames want it exponentially to be able to keep a potential 30-goal scorer in Tyler Toffoli to go along with a guy like Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk to stay there. Their offense is definitely well suited. Their defense has been well suited. So I think this was a really great trade for them. I think when you're the Calgary Flames, and we see this a lot in the NBA and in the NFL with the Rams, how the owner says, like, F them picks. When you're the Calgary Flames in this situation right now and you're looking at your team, your 9th best prospect isn't probably going to help you within the next 2 to 3 years in terms of, is that guy going to be the difference maker in us getting to the Stanley Cup or not? And Tyler Toffoli is going to be the difference maker, or he has the potential to be that. Obviously, playing on a team like the Montreal Canadiens, where offense is just hard to find, the production just wasn't there. But I think in Calgary, it's more suited. He knows some guys there. I know the Kings were interested in bringing him back, but no, I think this was a really great trade. I think it was fair. I didn't look at either team getting fleeced. So that's my stance on it.
Yeah, and I think Calgary was the perfect destination for Tyler Toffoli. You look at the team and how it's constructed. They have a pretty top-heavy lineup, to say the least, but you bring in Toffoli, and the production was never coming out of that bottom 6, and lo and behold, he scores in his first game, and I think it's going to probably be the first of many games, and many games that could not just be regular season. They couldn't extend into the playoffs. This could be a very valuable piece for the Calgary Flames. Ramoli, what do you make of the trade? Do you see it going both ways positive, or there's one winning it a little bit more than the other?
Honestly, no, I think both teams won. They got a solid haul. The Habs got themselves a first-round pick, and that's really all they needed, honestly. Just hoard picks and try again next year, maybe, or even tank for Connor Bedard, because that would be ridiculous.
That would be very ridiculous.
If they ended up with like a Shane Wright, Matthew Savoie,
I've never seen someone.
I'm gonna cry. If that happens, I would cry.
Imagine. From a sport media standpoint, because we are sport media students,
of course,
Matthews versus Bedard.
It does make for a good storyline. I'm
my heart
on the verge of punching a wall, but yes, it would make for a good storyline.
Oh my god, I didn't even realize that. That's coming up because Bedard is drafted not this year, next year. Because Shane Wright, we're already you see Shane Wright Montreal jerseys, and that's already taking a chunk of my heart because we know he's a Leaf fan. He's a Leaf fan.
Yep,
he's a big Leaf fan. And
he's going to play in front of 5,000 fans in the desert.
Did we talk about that?
I think we have already, but
we've talked about it.
I'm pretty sure we've done it before. But yeah,
I thought, we did. But we want to get back on the Habs, or even the Flames. The Flames got a good guy. Toffoli making, he's on a very manageable contract, and it's just another guy that can help them. That's the thing with the Flames roster. They just have a shit ton of guys, and you remember, they have him. They have him. Like you guys, I couldn't tell if you guys talked about him, but they literally have Andrew Mangiapane, the Bolton guy.
Finest, baby.
Yeah,
Bolton's very young.
Guy. Like Mangiapane, Backlund, Toffoli, Caulfield, Coleman.
There's another trade we forgot to mention.
my hot take. Matthew Tkachuk. Who's the other guy on the top? Backlund. I think I said Backlund. I don't know, but they have a shit ton of guys. They have a all-star caliber goalie, what he wants to be. But Markstrom has a little bit of that Bobrovsky syndrome where he's like, this year I feel like being shit. This year I feel like winning the Vezina. This is a Vezina year for Markstrom. And then you have like solid defenders. The team is legit. I'm trying to tell y'all since the first week of the season, this team is so legit, and they should have been legit for like ever, but now they are.
Yeah, they're starting to get traction, starting to get recognition towards their name, and very well so. They're putting up the points to show it. And you mentioned the roster house constructed. I want to talk about that a little bit now in regards to the rest of the season down this important stretch. And of course, a team that is very likely now heading into the playoffs towards how this Western Conference is previewing and shaping out. So you get great goaltending from your, I'd say a tandem of goalies, Vladar, I don't know how you say it, but Vladar. That's completely off. Wow. There's three ways of saying that name, but yeah, he's been pulling his weight as well. I know when Markstrom was out with injury and the COVID stuff and all that, he was putting up some pretty decent wins for his part. Markstrom, he leads the league by a wide margin in shutouts. That guy knows.
I've never seen someone have that many.
No, yeah. And I think the record in the NHL is Esposito with 13 around there, 13, 14. It is very manageable that he can shatter that. So I actually know that for one weird reason. My dad asked me, I'm like, Dad, I don't know who has the lead shutout leader.
You know who's second?
Campbell, yeah.
Jack Campbell
with 4. He's got half of it.
4.
No, but yeah, my dad asked me, do you know whose the record is for shutouts in the NHL? I'm like, I got no clue. And he's like, well, you showed you're a sports media student. How are you going to be in a job interview when they ask you that? I'm like, Dad, if they ask me that in a job interview, I should not be getting that job because that is I would walk in to be Jeff Merrick. I'm not Jeff Merrick here. But no, he is pulling his weight and putting up very quietly. We have not talked about it whatsoever in the Vezina talks. He's putting up great numbers from there. You go to the defense, Oliver Klingington. He's been putting up a silently productive
Shillington.
I got to mess up all the names from the Calgary Flames.
Who gave you hosting?
Well, technically you did in the Zoom call, so I appreciate you doing that for me.
Right.
But no, the defensive play has been very solid from this group, and of course the forwards. There's been people that have been saying that top line on the Calgary Flames is probably the best line in hockey. Is that too bold? I heard it on the radio.
That is bold.
I can't say. I don't remember who it was. I was
said that
going down to Toronto listening. I was going down to Toronto. No, not on here. In the media.
On here. Who said that?
That was the best line in hockey.
Yeah,
Adamo did. Adamo said it based on their defense and their goals that they give.
I knew there'd be stats mixed into it.
Well, they definitely are. But continue what you're saying.
No, yeah. I just bring it up because I heard it on the radio a couple of days ago. This guy he covers the Calgary Flames team for a living, and he was saying this is the best line that we have seen all season from any NHL team. I'm like, man, I was blown away. You do a little bit more digging in this team, man. This line, it is pulling more than its weight. I don't think I personally would put it ahead of the rest of the pack, but man, they are definitely in the top 3. They are sniffing around some golden territories. So all of that aside with the roster, is this team, the big question that I'm sure that might even hint to your hot take. I don't know which way you're going with this, Ramoli, but is this team built to contend for the playoffs? We know that they might have a easy road, something that the Leafs had last season and failed to capitalize on. Calgary Flames might be getting a big taste of that medicine. And will they capitalize on that? Is the roster built to win now? Or maybe you won't win now, but I think they're definitely a win now mode with the moves they've been making recently. And I don't think this is going to be the last move we see from the Calgary Flames. The deadline is shaping up to be a very interesting one in the NHL, and they could be very well taking full advantage of it. So Adamo, I'll start with you. You've been very high on the Calgary Flames all season long. You've been saying it from the beginning, and a lot of us, including myself, I will take that one. We have been denying you. Do you see still, and I'm sure you do, the potential in this group? Is it lively and well? And is it something that we can expect success from in the postseason?
So I'll switch my hot take because I'm going to say it now because I had a second one in mind.
I appreciate
I had a second one because you guys were just like you were teasing me. You were literally like, I think the Calgary Flames are the best team in the Western Conference. Better than Colorado, better than the Vegas.
I don't think they're better than Vegas when healthy.
I think they are.
No. I will refute that.
I do second better than Vegas.
Have we seen them? Have we seen
no,
Vegas
I'm
and
saying
Stone play
when
together?
fully healthy.
How do we know?
When is fully healthy?
How do we know?
I'm just saying when fully healthy, I definitely I'm just
how do you know though?
Because I've seen
you haven't. No, you have not.
You're not even letting me finish before you like interrupt me.
Go.
Because I've seen I understand like with all the injuries and stuff. What I'm saying is that when the injuries were happening, the lines that Vegas is going to possibly put out is move Chandler Stevenson down to the third line. We've already seen him play with guys like that. They're most likely not breaking up that second line that's been consistent with each other. Obviously, yes, Jack Eichel coming in with Pacioretty and Stone could be great. It could also blow up in their face just in terms of them not playing with each other. But we've seen these guys play with each other. It's not like it's a new team that just got thrown together this year. I still think in a 7-game series, Vegas would win.
A 7-game series, maybe, but like if we're just talking best, okay, well, like shit, the Ottawa Senators can beat the Leafs in a 7-game series. We don't know. I'm just saying straight up, the Calgary Flames are the best because, well, I could provide you stats, or I can just read you their roster. And
we're doing this like traditional.
I want to ask you one thing, if you can give the reasoning towards this. I know you said the best in the Western Conference. I just want to hear your thoughts on why you kind of value them over the Colorado Avalanche. I know Colorado's been extreme. They've been extremely hot. They have that ridiculous home record. They've been a very solid team nonetheless. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about the Calgary Flames and their. I do see it with the Vegas Golden Knights. I think I have to agree with you, but the Colorado Avalanche, I know you're kind of tiptoeing a slim line there. Can you explain to me a bit of the line that you're tiptoeing there?
Oh, gladly. Goaltending. Who's better?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Mark
cool. Defenseman?
I mean, Kemper hasn't been.
McCarr, Girard.
The defense is Colorado easily. They provide offense and defense.
I disagree. I think stars. The Colorado Avalanche have better stars. We can say that. I can say that with full certainty. But in terms of depth defensemen and depth forwards, I think the Calgary Flames have them beat. Tyler Toffoli is
depth defenseman. The only star defenseman the Colorado Avalanche truly have is Cale Makar.
Devin Taves is more than a point a game. What?
No. But I'm saying star-wise, like household name. They developed Devon Taves. They didn't. Yes, they did. No. When he was with the New York, he has scored more points in less games with the Colorado Avalanche than he had with the New York.
He was always that long good on the Islanders.
No.
He was always that.
He wasn't this offensively productive. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's a product of playing with Cale Makar. I'd probably put up that many points too. If my job is making DDD passes to Cale Makar, a 40-goal scoring defenseman, I'm gonna rack up a shit ton of assists.
But okay, then what about Sam? But you're looking at guys like Sam, like Noah Hannafin hasn't been that great for the Calgary Flames.
Well, they're the best defensive team, and he's their number one lefty. How bad could he?
He has a very good point in this. I don't think they would. Collective defense, man. This Calgary Flames.
Shillington's been unreal.
but Markstrom hasn't shown up in the playoffs before. When they played
we're
Vegas,
acting like Kemper has?
But what I'm saying is I would trust
Kemper more than Markstrom. No way.
As a team, yes, I would trust Colorado more than Calgary.
What has Colorado done in the playoffs to earn that trust?
Second round and out.
Well, I mean,
they both have the same amount of playoff success. Like
I would not take Calgary. I just don't think that I have respect for them, but I don't think that they're better. I don't think they're the best in the West.
You turned over my thinking, man.
What I'll say is that as much as I'm definitely going to say Colorado's a better team, I'm not going to say Calgary's better. I think Calgary may play a better playoff style. Like Calgary's more of a shutdown team, in my opinion.
That is very true.
I would never go against Daryl Sutter.
He's a genius.
Yeah, well, exactly. Then they have the coach of Daryl Sutter that just makes them work hard.
I didn't even think about that. They're that good, guys, and even on offense. Go, Jared.
I'm not doubting the Flames. I think playoff-wise, they definitely have the most shutdown style out of those teams in the West. So I see your point. I'm not taking away from them. But just looking at the teams in general, saying that they're a better team overall than the Colorado Avalanche, or even Vegas, it's maybe a toss-up. But, like, I think it's tough to just say flat out Calgary is better than Vegas. In a playoff series, you could convince me because they play a shutdown style that we saw it a few games ago against the Leafs. They are a nightmare to play against. I do not want to play the Calgary Flames in a playoff series. I'd honestly probably like the Leafs' chances against a team like Colorado better than our chances against Calgary for that exact reason, where Calgary plays a shutdown style. But in general,
yeah,
the actual term of they are a better team than the Colorado Avalanche, that's where you lose me a bit. But your overall point that they'd be a harder team to play in the playoffs.
Can you make a definitive argument that the Colorado Avalanche are definitively better than the Flames?
I think the standings kind of do that a little bit. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche have been the best team in the league for pretty much the entire year, and you can't argue with a line of Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Gabe Landeskog. Like, I think starter power-wise, how the team is doing, like, I do think Colorado, you have to consider them the best team in the West. Playoff-wise, though, you could definitely convince me that the Calgary Flames would be a tough match.
Where does it matter? Where does it matter, by the way?
It matters in the playoffs, but I think you're underlining Vegas's bottom six a little too much here. Like I've seen them.
Not.
I don't know, but I mean, like I think guys like Nick Waugh and Keegan Colasar, I mean, although they don't do they do bits offensively, I think you're also forgetting that the Misfits line, that line has been consistent ever since they've come to Vegas. And it also shows in the playoffs. I mean, Jonathan Marchessault had a hat trick in the playoffs last year against Colorado. He definitely was the reason why they won that series. He was a huge component in that. Nick Waugh scored the overtime winner against Montreal to keep the series tied at 2-2. I mean, obviously Vegas ended up losing that, but I think obviously Vegas they've been rocked with injuries, but I think when their team is fully healthy, I do see them better than Colorado. Also, just given Robin Lehner has been great for Vegas, and Markstrom, I don't trust in the playoffs. Robin Lehner, I mean, although they did go back and forth with him and Fleury, it was just that Vegas had the luxury of having two number one goalies. It was kind of like a 1A, 1B toss up. And I think it's fair to say that Robin Lehner kept them in a lot of games against Montreal and against Colorado. And that's why they kept flip-flopping. And that's why in a winner go home situation, they turned to Robin Lehner and not Marc-Andre Fleury.
I'd have to disagree. I think Calgary's bottom six has Tyler Toffoli, who is a 40-goal caliber player. I don't think
Tyler Toffoli is playing in the bottom six. You don't trade
He is currently in the bottom six.
He has
played in the bottom six.
I'm saying
he probably will, but then you have Blake Coleman on your third line. So
I know.
You have Dylan Dubé there too.
Yeah, but Dylan Dubé, these guys, I don't see
And let's not act like Monahan is a bum now. He's an elite third liner. If he's a third liner, Monahan is one of the best third line centers in the league.
No, I disagree because I would think Chandler Stevenson would be better than Sean Monahan.
Good.
as a third line.
I don't know.
Because once the team's fully healthy, Chandler Stevenson's going to be the third line center.
Who's going to be
And
your
I think
second
he's
line center?
exponent. You're gonna this
What,
is
Carlson?
how I have it.
Probably
It says
Carlson.
you're gonna keep this Misfits line as the second line. You'll move Eichel to the first line center, which leaves Stevenson third line. Stevenson's point production wise has been exponentially better this year than
He has
Sean
4
Monahan.
points in his last 13.
Okay, but you're talking about last. Who the fuck? I'm saying overall,
It's been a month and a half when he got moved down and Carlson came back. He's not going to be that point a game guy on the bottom
Monahan
6.
has what, like 20?
No, I'm not saying Monahan is better. I'm not saying he's like marginally better, but don't say it like Chandler Stevenson is miles clear of Monahan.
I think he is though. Miles clear. Chandler, like Sean Monahan's a minus 18.
He's a minus 11.
Who?
Monahan, isn't he? I thought I saw minus 11. But regardless, I do not care about plus minus. I like it does not matter to me because he's not playing an offensive role either.
41 games. I don't see how you can view that as an elite number
third liner.
3.
Is it number 3? And you got to remember what he's adding too. Like he's able to play, but he's able to play minutes where
so
your stars can rest and you could not be a negative player.
So you want to say that Monahan's an elite third liner, half his points or more than half his points have been on the power play?
I don't care.
I'm just saying,
if he's not playing bad defensively at 5-on-5, then he is a plus player to me.
But he is playing bad defensively because he's still a minus rating.
He's not. That I'm not going to argue with plus minus, dude. That does not matter. The plus minus does not matter. Until it matters, it does not matter. That's what I've said. If he's a minus 50, okay, fine. Maybe there's an issue there. A guy could play plus 10 and minus 10 and have the same defensive impact. So
I think plus minus, you still have to take that into account. Like it can't.
When it's extreme, yes. When it's not extreme, I don't care for the stat. It's.
I mean, minus 11 isn't. That means you're on the ice for 11 more goals than you're
at 5-on-5. Yeah.
Yeah. So
remember, they've played 47 games. This isn't like a Rasmus Dahlin being a minus 80 or whatever.
No, I get it, but that means that he still had time then to get into a plus rating. I just don't think that that's like elite. I don't think that's still elite third line status.
Me? Oh well, no. I just want to move the chains a little. I want to move the chains a little bit. We've been talking Calgary for a pretty decent amount of our show, and I mean, this is probably one of the better conversations I think we've had in quite a while. I've never heard the Colorado and the Calgary debate, but when you look at it, and it all comes down to how you value team and how strong, where your values are set as which is the best team, where your characteristics lie. Personally, I don't see Calgary over Colorado just because of how dominant Colorado's been. 74 points in 48 games is absurd. They got only 9 losses on the year. You got to give credit where credit due to them. But when you're analyzing full on team standpoint, you look at the guys that Calgary has, and they're not the biggest names on the back end either, but they get it done. They know how to shut you down. The Leafs game, I know you mentioned it, Jared, that was a perfect performance from the Calgary Flames. I will give them full credit there. That is a team that I don't want to face in the regular season. That is a team that I don't want to face in the postseason. They are a tough team to play. The Colorado Avalanche, they play a very big running gun game. They're two different styles of play nonetheless between these two teams. So you're going to see a different production. The Colorado Avalanche know how to dominate a regular season. And the Calgary Flames are just starting to learn that. You have to remember, this team was in the gutter last year. There was a lot of thoughts on maybe initiating a rebuild from the Flames management. They didn't. They stuck with the guys they have. They bet on their players. Team bet on themselves, and they're looking to reap the rewards this year in the postseason. So I kind of want to put a pin in this Calgary Flames and the top end of the West conversation, because I think it's something that we're going to be exploring as the weeks and the months go by. And I want to turn the focus over to something that we were all seeing, including Evan. I found out a couple weeks ago that you are both Canadian and American, so that's pretty cool. So this segment might be perfect for you. Canada, they took home gold, the women's team, I mean. And wow. Camera off. I feel a little little disrespected here, but they won in very good fashion. I know the score didn't show it 3-2, but they look like a dominant team all over the place. Marie-Philippe Poulin, she strikes twice in Canada's 3-2 win over the U.S. Sarah Nurse, she had 2 points to cap off. And I don't know if you guys read this, but a magnificent Olympic showing from her part. I believe she had 18 points in total. That is absurd. She would also become the first Black woman to capture gold at the Olympics. And Poulin becomes the first hockey player ever to score a goal in 4 gold medal games. That is also a stat that is absurd, to say the least. Canada had their 4th straight gold medal streak snapped to the U.S. in 2018, in the 2018 Winter Olympics at the hands of the United States. Is this the start of a new streak in women's hockey for this nation? And I have the pleasure to cover women's hockey for the Ryerson Rams. They are this year they're not that fun to watch because they've been struggling a little bit. But the what I see from these group and all that, it is just terrific hockey. If you want to get into women's hockey, I strongly suggest you maybe rewatch some of the Olympic games, watch the highlights, the Olympic style of play for this women's team. It was very fun to watch. I enjoyed every second of it. I'm sure you guys are in the same way. But is this the start of a new wave in women's hockey in Canada? Because we saw dominant performances throughout this Winter Olympic Games. Are we going to see a lot more gold medals coming in the upcoming years? Adam, I'll start with you. I know you paid a little bit close attention to the women's team as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, me and my dad were watching the gold medal game, and he turns to me and goes, I think some of these women could play in the NHL. And I'm like, skillfully, 100%. I genuinely think like a Kendall Coyne Schofield, Marie-Philippe Poulin, Sarah Fillier. Sarah Fillier is in college.
Yeah.
What the fuck? She was playing in the PW, which is the highest tier of women's hockey in Ontario. She was playing there like a couple years ago, which is nuts to think about. I hope it does start something for women's hockey. I sat down with an old friend of mine who like I've known forever, grew up like playing hockey, and she plays on U of T, so the best women's team in Canada.
Yep.
And she goes, I asked her, why didn't you go D1? And she's like, well, what's the point of going D1 when I could stay here in Canada and get a job? And I'm like, what about pursuing a pro career? And she goes, there is none. Like, what do? You can go overseas and make like not even 10K, So I think these Olympics hopefully showed both teams, the Americans do, credit where credit's due. The Americans stomped on us that first game, but their goalie kind of crapped the bed. I hope it sparks a professional league where like women are able to be paid serviceably in North America, because it boggles my mind that Marie-Philippe Poulin is this good, and we get to see her once every 4 years, and then the occasional rivalry series. That's it. And I guess like the World Championships, which have been canceled the last 2 years. So, yeah, I like most of all, the hockey was great, but I want this Olympics to be remembered as like the Olympics that sparked a professional league that stays. And I know the PHF is there, but I mean one where it's like backed by the PWHPA or PWHA. I get them confused.
PWHL.
I think it's.
Or are you talking about the professional league?
No, they're like their players association. I think it's PWHPA.
Yeah.
I hope this sparks an actual professional league where we could see best on best, because the PHF is great. I actually got to see all the Toronto 6 players when I got to go cover. I got to go cover the Rams game at the York Lions, and they were all chilled in the restaurant. It was pretty cool. Like Grant Mentis was there. But yeah, I hope they have a professional league where they're paid almost like the WNBA, where their WNBA players are making legit salary. Same with the NWSL, the soccer league. They're making legit money, and I think these women's hockey players deserve it.
And there's a couple of things that they're going to be needing. Funding is probably the most massive one.
Yeah.
People, sponsorships, a lot of things don't want to fund the women's hockey for reasons that I guess it's because of viewership. Not many people are tuning into the games. But you look at what you mentioned. which is a very big problem. And I think it's something that's going to change with this Olympics. I saw a lot of people that I didn't even know watched women's sports tuning into the Olympic Games. And you mentioned like the soccer, for example. I know like there's a Chelsea women's team, there's an Arsenal, like the Premier League teams have their women's teams, and they're funded by the team. And that does somewhat well as well. So I think that this Olympic Games has been a testament to women's hockey, and that there's just so much proof in the pudding that it can be successful with the right viewership, because I believe all the games on the Olympics for the women's was streamed. So even the Canada ones obviously were all streamed towards us. So if you can get the streaming, if you can get the funding, the women's hockey is in a great place direction wise. I want to know by the time I get out of university and I have my degree and all that, that I will be for sure covering with certainty a professional women's league that is watched, funded, and respected, because it is terrific hockey on and off the ice.
And it will be watched.
And it will
like they had 11 million viewers in Canada, or I don't know if it was in Canada, but I saw 11 million viewers, I'm guessing in North America or Canada, for an 11 p.m. game on a Wednesday night.
Yep.
People will watch it.
What does that
say? People will watch it. People will watch it. If it's out there, people will watch it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, just in terms of funding, where does that come from? Like, I don't know necessarily where that comes from. And, like when you're comparing the soccer teams, Mario, I think the one outlier there is that teams like Chelsea and Arsenal are stupid rich to the point where like they can afford to set up their own league. I don't see, the NHL, especially with COVID right now, it's definitely going to have to just be a little bit of a halt with the salary cap not moving up, teams not having to put advertisements on their helmets in order to kind of bring back money that they ended up losing. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see how many people are staying up on a school night, granted, and we're all in college, and sleep is everything for us. And
oh my God.
Yeah, and it was up till 2 a.m. I fell asleep because I couldn't keep my eyes open. But I saw it was 3-1 Canada. I was like, God damn, like that kind of sucks. But that was kind of brutal. But I mean, I definitely agree. Skill-wise, damn, I might have to just disagree a little, just in terms of pace of play. Like I noticed, like the men's is definitely a lot more faster pace of play, but I do think like if you're just basing it off the skill, just puck handling, shooting, like some of these women have a cannon. Like I
ridiculous.
saw like I was just like, and it's I don't mean to be offensive, but it's just like, oh my God, like that's like an 80-mile-an-hour wrister, like 85.
Yep.
I don't know what it is in kilometers, I'm sorry, but like
we
it's
don't
a
do
hard
kilometers either, don't worry.
Oh, okay. That's like a hard shot that some of these women are taking. I'm impressed. And it does suck that we don't get to see them as much, with women's soccer, to the credit of what we're talking about. Like we see them so much more often in terms of like national tournaments or friendlies and all that. We're just not seeing it with hockey, but the market, I hope the market grows, because I seeing these girls, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Jerry, got anything to comment on this situation as well?
I mean, no, you guys pretty much said everything. It was unbelievable watching it. I'm so happy that Canada ended up getting the job done. It was just unbelievable skill. It was so much fun. And as Adam was it, the fact that 11 million people stayed up to watch that late at night, it shows you that people are interested in this game and people want to watch women's hockey if women's hockey is there to be watched. And that's the issue, is unfortunately there isn't a lot of tournaments that like allow this to be played a lot, which is a huge problem. But again, as Evan mentioned, you kind of have to look at where the funding comes. So there's obviously issues, but I really hope that they could find a way, find some kind of partnership with, whether it's the NHL who plans it, or the IHF, or someone who kind of steps up and says, we want to grow this game. We want to have women's hockey tournaments more regularly than just the Olympics and the every once in a while things. And there definitely needs to be a way that we can watch this hockey more often, because the fans and the viewership is there. And more importantly, when it comes to these women, the skill is there, and they are incredible at hockey. They want to play, and they want people to care about the game. And it showed as of last night that people care and people want to watch. It's just about finding a way that makes sense, like monetarily, to have events like this. So obviously there's issues surrounding it, and of course making the money to plan events like this. But I really hope that in the near future that we could find a way, because it's a ton of fun watching this game, and it's just great hockey overall.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the league is trying, the NHL, they're trying to put as much funding within it. I know teams are like sharing home ice with giving them an arena to play with, a professional arena. I know there was a game, I don't remember who was playing exactly, but I know it was at the Scotiabank Arena a couple months ago. That was played there. So the teams are trying. The fun,
Cap.
exactly. The teams are trying.
Yeah.
There's funding that's trying to be arranged. I saw something even as extreme as one of the games, they changed the color of the ice to maybe get a bit more viewership. Like they're pulling anything from anywhere, trying to get stuff to people to tune in. It's going to be a work in progress. It's not an easy thing. Women's sports, and I just hate to say it, but even growing up, it was never something that was regarded very highly in sport at all. Yeah. And this year, we saw it very big recently in the Olympics. In the recent years, we've been seeing it very big. The turning point for me was last summer in the, I believe it was the rivalry series when Canada won against I believe it was the US, if I'm not mistaken. It was the overtime goal. That was
MPP.
Yeah, exactly.
Shits on them. Every overtime she scores. She's fucking ridiculous,
I know,
guys.
that Pauline, I only hear of her once every 4 years, but I don't like her.
No, yeah, she was, that was my turning point for women's hockey. Then I went on to cover it with school and all that. But no, I just want to see a lot more from the game. And I would not be surprised whatsoever. You mentioned how, Adamo, this is going to spark something. I wouldn't be surprised if the IHF, I know they rearranged
the NHL, man. Don't kid yourself. The NHL wants to do it. The NHL wants to do it. It's just a matter of the dollars and cents.
Yeah, and to your point there, it might not happen for just like another 7 to 10 years, just given, I mean,
this will spark it though.
No. I totally get that. Like it could spark an idea. I'm just saying you're looking at what COVID did to a lot of teams. I don't think, like financially, I don't think teams are going to be flexible for their own good for maybe another 3 years, just given the TV deals that they lost. I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they're losing. All the Canadian markets are losing money like crazy, just given that they have to play games with half capacity. Ottawa, no fans. Montreal, no fans. I'm just saying that financially flexible the league probably won't be for something like this, maybe another 7 to 10 years.
And I mean,
I'm just saying financially flexible, just to also promote it. Like it's already costs a lot to get the league started. I said 7 to 10 years because you also want to do maybe commercials or like other sorts of advertisement. That's why I say that.
And it's a big commitment. Go on, Jared.
I agree. Of course, it's not going to happen right now. It's hard to just, things like this don't grow overnight. I mean, it takes time. But the point is that the seed has been planted, and it showed as of last night, even throughout the whole, World Juniors, but deprived of the World Juniors, which is another thing we found out that may be coming back. But regardless, talking about the Olympics, it showed all throughout this thing, people stayed up and people wanted to watch. So it shows you that the market's there. And again, the seed has been planted. It may, as Evan mentioned, because of everyone's still recovering from COVID, it may take some time. Stuff like this, Rome wasn't built in a day. Stuff like this doesn't happen overnight, but the idea has been planted. People are interested in it. There's viewers that want to watch, and more importantly, there's people that have the dollars and cents that are going to step into this project when they see how valuable it is, which people are watching, and it's showing you there's value there. So I think we're definitely on the road to it. It may be a few years away still, which is unfortunate, but it's just the reality of things. But the point is, it's coming. And I think a lot of people could see that, at least when we're going to be in a few years, we're going to see that there's a big growth when it comes to the women's game, because there's the skill there and people want to watch it.
Can I interject for one last point before we segue over to something? I just wanted to add to the fact that I want to say longer time, just given that I don't want this league to start and then it be a flop because of financial flexibility.
That's how it's been in recent years too.
That's why I'm saying give it 10 years or something like that. And then you have secured financial flexibility, because it would be horrible and devastating if a league like this started and then within 2 seasons it's gone, when you could have waited those 2 seasons to build up more capital in order to start it. That's why I'm saying, I think, because it sounds easy in your head, but when you really break it down by how many teams do you want, how many games are we going to play, where are we going to play these games, like a lot of financial aspects go into this, and you just don't want it to be a flop.
And it's not a situation where you strike while the iron's hot. This iron's going to be flaming over every single year. It's going to be growing. I mean, you're looking at, I keep saying this, but I get to watch a bunch of the players. I got to watch UFT, the best women's team. They destroyed the Ryerson Rams last week, but you get to see how the upcoming players, they're just as passionate. They're just as skilled. They can get it done just as quick. And it's going to be just keep refreshing. You're going to have a good cycle of women coming in and out. And it's a great place for women's hockey. And I would have no doubt that there was a correlation between the IHF ruling that's going to be coming back in the summer. I don't know if it was official, but I know there's been a lot of rumors with the World Juniors and the women's tournament.
It's official.
It is official.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that coming in the summertime. The IHF so quick to take it away from the women's, was so quick to give it back after the Olympics. There's got to be a little bit of maybe a correlation with how well this Olympic tournament played for the women's side. But I think the main message that we're all trying to convey here is that there's value here. The Olympics is definitely something that changed it. And I can't remember one other tournament in regards to women's sports that had a more outlying effect than this one here. And I think we're going to look back at 2022, the Winter Olympics in Beijing, and say this is the start of women's hockey in 4 or 5 years down the road. And I think that's all we're going to have to say for women's hockey until next time. There's going to be definitely more talk on Leafs Line for women's hockey because it is a terrific thing to watch. And we're going to segue to this one thing that we used to have on the show. I know I mentioned off the top of the episode. We used to do this with my old crew. I'm going to bring it back for the one time next week. I can assure you trivia will be on the tracks, but for this 1 week only, we are having, I actually can't wait to say this, the hot take segment of Leafs Line podcast. It has been a minute since I've been hosting a hot take segment on the LLP, and the rules are extremely simple. There's not really many rules. It's just I turn it over to you, you say your hot take, and we all give our thoughts on it. And if I'm going to give you some historic ones, some really good ones that have rattled in my old crew, was one of my buddies, and he still does not let it go. He predicted that the Jack Eichel, before he got traded or before any of the rumblings happened, he said, like it was 2 weeks before any of this news ever broke out. He's like, I can see Jack Eichel racking up trade talks in the next couple of weeks. I don't know where he pulled this one, and it actually came to fruition. And we called him the Wizard for quite a while. That was his nickname on the show, just because he saw in his crystal ball something that absolutely came true. And then another one, and I told this to my dad. My dad got very upset with this hot take. One of my buddies, he was saying this was the expansion draft. It was the summer. We were all sort of planning on what was going to go on, who was going to be available. This guy said it back in, I believe it was February, March, that Carey Price is going to be exposed to the Seattle Kraken. And I believe he was for a very good portion of I think he was exposed by the Montreal Canadiens.
He was left unprotected.
He was left unprotected. And I know the contract was quite huge and all that stuff.
It was like $10 million.
Exactly. Yeah. But he said that he was going to be exposed and he could possibly go to the Seattle Kraken, and he got that right. So hot takes can build a pretty big reputation for you nonetheless. So I know you guys got a good one locked and loaded, and I'll start it right now. Evan, you will kick off the first and probably last episode of the hot take segment for the Leafs Line podcast this year. New crew, let's see some new hot takes. Evan, what do you have in store for us?
Oh my God, man. I wanted to do one actually with Calgary, but if Adamo said that he wanted to do one with Calgary, I'll veer into a different direction here.
Well, I kind of said it, but mine still has to do with Calgary.
So. Okay. I'm gonna say that the New York Rangers acquire Ben Sherratt at the trade deadline, and 2, with adding Ben Sherratt to that team, I could see them as a dark horse to come out of the East.
Yo, I get behind that. Kind of
interesting,
maybe.
Yeah.
You know what? If you ride your hot goalie, you catch lightning in a bottle, and you be jerks to people with like Trouba Reeves, and Sherratt.
Yeah.
A lot would have to go right, is my opinion.
Yeah.
That's with any.
That's why it's a hot take. Too,
you need your top 6 flying. You need Shesterkin absolutely playing.
Which it can happen.
You need him to carry his Vezina level play, which again, it can't happen, but until we see it, he's always going to be out.
Let me be clear. I know Shesterkin's a Vezina winner. I just don't have.
We're not doing this again.
I'm not having this discussion. We're
not doing it again.
I'm just saying. I know he's I know he's the best goalie in the NHL right now. That's why I have them as a dark horse coming out of the East. If they do acquire Sherratt, which rumors.
Yeah, there is rumors for that. So
there's rumors that he could be heading to New York. It would make the most sense cap-wise to give off a Barclay Goodrow possibly. But yeah.
And there's another another angle of it as well, things that have to go right. And obviously hot takes are meant for things to absolutely go right.
But I think it's fair to say that to any team, really.
It
That
can
things
happen.
have to go.
Yeah.
Things have
That's
to go
why
right
it's a
for
hot
every
take,
playoff
right?
team.
It probably isn't going to happen, but if it does, you'll look like a genius, right?
So that's the whole aspect of hot takes. You use the 1 percentile to your advantage. But another thing that just to add has to go right. You got to get the production, and they've been stressing this for the last couple of seasons. You need to get production from Lafreniere and Capo. Those guys are just they're very close to being useless on that team. They don't do anything defensively, offensively. It's really getting concerning.
Kind of do cardio, honestly.
They can't do and this is a big problem, and I'm sure it's going to be explored in the upcoming weeks, that New York Rangers aren't very good at developing talent. It is something that a lot of people in the Rangers system are saying.
Jared send a video about
I believe
that?
Jared said that. I was reading it way before when I was doing my own article on the Rangers.
Like, is Chris Kreider their only like homegrown?
I couldn't.
Because Zibanejad came from Ottawa. Like,
a lot of the guys.
Panarin came from Chicago. I mean Henrik Lundqvist, but he's been MIA obviously with retirement. But like, it does question. I mean, Adam Fox was traded, from Calgary. Like, I guess Keandre Miller is like meh. Jacob Trouba, they trade.
He's been fine. Miller's been fine. But yeah, there's a trend. I'm trying to think of the examples. Yeah, Graf, which credit to him, he just got picked up by Sportsnet actually, but he made a YouTube video discussing the issue of the Rangers in development. Of course, the big two examples are Capo and Alexis Lafreniere. There's another one though, and I'm blanking on it off the top of my head, but they have a track record in the last few years.
Kravtsov. No. Lias Anderson.
Lias Anderson and Vitaly Kravtsov.
Because Lias Anderson's now shitting it in LA.
Yeah, they have a track record of being very bad at developing players.
And it goes to show how the future very nearly looks pretty bright with the way this team's constructed. But if you want to go look, I'd say even 3-4 years down the road, this team is not looking too pretty with what they have in the prospect pool. But no, I think that's all we'll say for the New York Rangers in this hot take. I'll move it over to Jared. What do you have? Is it a spicy meatball you're about to throw my way, or a square and rectangle pizza that's coming this direction?
Well, it's a discussion we've had a little. It's a discussion we've had a little bit before. Of course, it's well documented. There are two teams that have the longest drought of not getting out of the first round. Those being from 1996, the Florida Panthers, and from 2004, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And my hot take, or call it a hot take, is that both of those droughts will move a year farther. Neither of them will get out of the
He had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god!
I wanted to say that one of them would get out, and it would be my blue team. But considering we may have to play, I'm having a little bit of doubts, unfortunately, despite how good my team's playing. But it's the Florida Panthers, who are one of the hottest teams in the league, that I really do not have faith in. And I am very confident that even if they're the winner of the Atlantic, or even the winner of the East, and they have to play a wild card team, the main example based on how it's currently matched up is they'll have to play the Boston Bruins. Yeah. I think Boston wins that series. I think Boston is so much more of a shutdown, a bully you team. I don't see that with Florida. I think Florida's super regular season offense heavy. I don't think they're a shutdown bully you team, and that's
keep going.
Evan, man, you were like, for someone that I've talked to a lot of hockey fans, you were extremely high on Florida. I don't think I've ever seen someone this high on Florida.
This low on the Leafs. I don't get that. That's the part
on the Leafs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're so good with the stats. The last time they won a playoff round, you were in fucking diapers.
Well, same with the Panthers. Hello.
The Panthers, we were ancient.
Oh my God. I wasn't even a thought of existence.
I'm just like, the Panthers, I feel like if they played someone else other than Tampa the last 4 years, they would make it out of the.
What the fuck?
It doesn't matter.
They played them twice. Last 2 years they've been eliminated. It was by the Tampa Bay Lightning.
I have a question for you. The Toronto Maple Leafs, let's say they get matched up against Tampa. Are you giving them benefit of the doubt if they end up losing to Tampa? Oh, it's only Tampa. They're a great team still.
No.
100% right. 100% right.
No, but I don't agree with Boston, because as much as I love having those 2 goalies on my fantasy team, they're so suspect. Like Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark, literally one game could look like prime Tuukka Rask, and then the next game look like themselves again.
I agree with you. Bobrovsky's the best goalie in that series, but I still think the style.
it's goaltending that wins you a playoff round. And as great
it's
as
hot
Boston
goaltending that wins you a playoff round, not goaltending.
Okay, it's
Big
hot
difference
goaltending
between
that
the
wins
two.
you a playoff round. I love Boston's defense with Mike Riley, Brandon Carlo, Charlie McAvoy. I mean, they got a lot, but the issue is that they can only do so much. I don't trust a guy like Linus Ullmark, who's never been in the playoffs, and a guy like Jeremy Swayman, who is being called up and down, but now will most likely remain up. They're too inconsistent for me.
It's fair. I still think their style of play outmatches Florida's style of play. I don't like the Florida Panthers.
I like that. I
and
like
all
this.
season long.
The
way that they've been playing is they're winning a lot of games where they're running up the score. They're beating a team like Columbus 9-2. That doesn't convince me that you're a playoff ready team. And as much as sure they're great offensively, I think a playoff series against a shutdown team, maybe if they play Toronto, I think that would be a very good even series. But a team like Tampa, a team like Boston, I think that's a matchup where the Florida Panthers would get weared down and shut down. And I don't think they'd match up well against that at all.
He's spitting. He is spitting.
Now, I don't own a fax machine on my desk, but I certainly own one on this show. Jared, man, take a bow. That is I absolutely agree. Remotely absolutely agrees. And then the guy in my top left here is giving
Jared,
death
thank God you didn't
stares.
tell me that before. I would have fucking punched my computer.
Hey, just for the viewers.
Jared was like, yo, I have my hot take ready. You want to hear it? And I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait till I'm gonna wait.
Just so the viewers know, there's a thin wall between these two guys. So if anything breaks in the upcoming days,
DCC's a pretty new building.
And it is pretty new.
And watch out.
But no, Jared, terrific take. Evan, terrific take. Ramoli, let's see if you can ride the hot hand on this hot take segment. What do you got for us here?
Oh, shit. So you guys both went the playoff route. I'm going to stay in the regular season route, and it pertains to the Calgary Flames. Johnny Gaudreau for the Heart. Johnny Gaudreau. If the Flames finish top of the Pacific,
boy,
Johnny Gaudreau wins the Heart.
Man, you guys don't
disappoint. I don't hate it.
I really don't hate
it.
Do you want me to back this up?
I absolutely, that is most definitely needed.
Johnny Gaudreau is on pace for 110 points. He's on
fourth in the NHL in scoring.
Fourth in NHL scoring, by the way. 2 behind number 1. So a 3-point game, and he's leading. He is on the best defensive line in hockey. His team, if they are at the top of the division. Do I need to go any further? He's on a 110-point pace. He is on the best defensive line in hockey. He is on the best team in the division, and he will be the reason that they are that good.
The one thing is,
and the only people.
Like a guy like,
you know what? I don't think it will happen, just because
voters suck.
Voters and shit. But like, it'll probably end up going to the dude who finishes first in points, because that's just kind of how it works. Why the frick not? If they finish in like the top 7, he's like, his underlying numbers are ridiculous. He's leading the league in WAR. It's a baseball stat for you.
WAR.
Yeah,
the god of WAR.
It's a thing. He's 4th in league scoring, and this is a hot take, remember? But why the hell not?
I don't hate it. I drafted him in the 4th round, I believe, in one of my fantasy things, and he's been unbelievable. Like, all the respect in the world to Johnny Gaudreau. I think what'll end up undoing your prediction is just the fact that guys like Jonathan Huberdeau, who are absolutely carrying Florida's a good regular season team, but like Huberdeau's leaps and bounds above the next person in scoring on the Panthers. So like Huberdeau's probably the front runner, and then you have to look at a bunch of other guys. But I mean, being 4th in the league in points while also having a really good season, he's definitely in the mix.
The big thing for me is that he is on this. He is the reason the top line in hockey is the top line in hockey. They have the best goals for percentage and expected goals, but goals for percentage, meaning they score the most and they don't get scored on.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You probably have the stats in front of you. How is this defensive play? I don't keep too close tabs on Johnny Hockey. Because if his defensive play is more than adequate against if you're grouping him with all these other players you're going to throw in there, this is not just really a hot take. This could very well be a reality because it is most valuable player.
Do you want to send me? It's not like elite, but
for a forward, is it elite?
It is above average. It is above average. He's an above average player. Defender. And then offensively, he's having probably the best offensive season in the NHL. One of.
And you know what? It's not going to come to fruition because voting for this.
No, because he plays in Calgary. It's not going to happen.
He plays on a potato chip of an arena.
Yeah, and it's probably not going to happen either. But come on.
No, I'm.
Why not? Why the heck?
I would
not?
give it. I mean, I would give it to Ovechkin over Gaudreau, just also given the fact that
that's a bad take.
Wait, you didn't even let me.
Yeah, continue.
Jared, you're muted. Jared, you're also
muted.
Yeah, Jared. Or your mic's off or something like that.
Or your mic's off or something. The reason why I was going to say give it to Ovechkin, one given age, another given production. One second.
Doesn't matter.
But guys, we're in a this is a market that it's also just about like branding and all that.
Give it to Crosby then. Why the hell not?
Okay, well, one sec. This is why you're not going to give it to Crosby and let me finish. Saying, given his age, given his production, and given that he's the only guy on the Capitals that has played, I believe, in every single game, I just think that it's just the whole story thing. That's like what they were saying, like in the NBA, like, oh, give it to LeBron, even though the Lakers fucking suck. But it's
like giving it to Anthony Davis.
That's bad, and people are going to rip that apart.
It's awful.
I would give it to Ovechkin.
But what I was saying when my thing wasn't working is, what if Washington finishes as like the final wild card team and Calgary wins the Pacific? How are you going to argue that Ovechkin's more valuable to the Capitals than Gaudreau is?
Because he is.
Flames?
You know, if I had to use the because he is excuse for everything, I would be so advanced.
But McDavid and Draisaitl were winning like MVP awards, and it's not like Edmonton was anything like standing wise. They weren't great like in the Pacific.
But that's also dumb, and I could say that's stupid. Like earlier in the season,
I'd give it to Shesterkin over OV2, by the way.
I'd probably agree with that. If the Rangers are better.
Take.
Yeah, just the history of Shesterkin in Hearts is something we don't want to go look back at.
I was just saying, like, as the storyline, I just think, like, given someone who is like, I understand, but you also just said in the same breath that the voting is stupid. So, like, I think
Ovechkin can win it, but should he? No, not at all. I think you're probably right. The voters are going to be like, oh, that's a cool story. Give it to Ovechkin.
No, the voters are stupid. They look at like, oh, McDavid had 110 points in 56 games. I mean, he definitely earned it last year. I've never seen anyone put up that many points.
Those nuts. Yeah.
And that was absolutely. He had like 17 or 20 like 5-point game. Like, I don't know. Like every game
he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Like, but I'm thinking just like storyline and all that shit just to like make it better. I don't know. I definitely think it's something worth noting, just considering what the Capitals consider as their second best player in Nick Backstrom hasn't been there at all this season.
And I want to ask you a question though. You said that probably based on the voters, Ovechkin maybe will be voted higher than Gaudreau, which I agree with. Like, you're probably right. Voters are dumb. They're going to do that. But if you're voting, who are you voting for? Gaudreau or Ovechkin? Who do you think's more deserving right now of the Hart?
Oh, probably Johnny Gaudreau. But I'm saying from a
I'm making sure you're saying.
Yeah, but like from a voter's perspective, like I obviously don't have a vote, but like I'm saying from a voter's perspective, they're probably gonna be like, Ovechkin's probably gonna hit 50 goals or at least come just shy of it. I mean, he has 31 right now in 50. He has 31 in 50 games. So if he continues the durability, which knock on wood he has been able to, I mean, he can definitely reach, obviously, definitely 45, maybe the ceiling at 48. But I mean, Johnny Gaudreau's I know you don't like plus minus a damn, he's a plus 39, which I guess if you want to use plus
minus, where it matters.
Yeah,
that's where it matters.
That's where it matters. But it's also just given the market of Calgary, and the only news they're in is that they can't afford a fucking arena. Like,
that whole first line, by the way, is in the top 5.
in plus minus.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of Vegas.
Chuck number 5.
Yeah, it reminds me of Vegas last year, where like I think the top 3 plus minus was Stone, Pacioretty, Theodore.
I think
and
Martinez was up there. Yeah.
No, I meant Stone, Martinez, and Theodore.
Yeah.
I had all 3 of them, by the way. Keep the train. But no, I'm just saying, like, from a marketing standpoint, guys, like Washington D.C. with Alex Ovechkin, or Calgary, Alberta, where
if Leon Draisaitl can win it in Edmonton, Alberta, so can
Taylor Hall can
Johnny
win it
Gaudreau.
in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah,
it should have been Kopitar.
If we're talking about Jonathan Huberdeau in Fort Lauderdale, is that where they play?
Nikita Kucherov 2019 in Tampa Bay.
Well, Tampa's
different. Tampa's like they it's not like they
Florida's
just woke
Florida.
up from. Yeah, it's not like Tampa Bay just woke up from
but one is like Sunrise. Sunrise is like
Sunrise is dead.
Tiny,
no hockey whatsoever.
Have you seen the amount of fans at Panthers games now?
That's nailed that they're good.
Guys, Sunrise is
really?
a third of the size of Vaughan.
Like,
Oh my.
Yes,
Yeah,
Woodbridge is the
that.
size
There
of
are memes about
Sunrise.
how they had no
I
fans.
do think that Florida is the worst place you could put a hockey team.
Yeah, don't.
Just
Well,
Well, there's
there's
a place
a
Arizona.
certain desert over there,
No, okay.
and I'd say like I wouldn't want to put one like on the moon. I don't think you could play there. I'm giving you shit.
There'd be more fans than at ASU. I can guarantee you
For
that.
fuck's sakes. No, I was just saying, like, it's more of a place where people go to call it quits. I think that's why Joe Thornton
Or
signed
party.
there. Yeah,
That was a Kodak reference.
Can we just like focus on?
I think I'll do justice to this one
Just
here.
end it, man. Just end
No,
Do
you
you have a hot take, Mario?
no. Host never gives hot takes.
it. Host never gives.
Oh,
it.
you-
Oh,
Come
so
on,
you want to
give us
start
one.
this
Give
whole
us
fucking
one.
charade, and then you're
Can't
not
think
gonna
of one
throw
off the
your-
top of my head.
yeah, and you have to be you're gonna be held accountable too.
I wrote yours down. It's all written over here.
Wait, did you
so,
write all of ours down?
Yes.
Johnny
I
Gaudreau
write,
for
all,
the
I
heart.
write every
Johnny-
hot take down.
Johnny Gaudreau for the
Yo,
hot
hot
take.
take. There's a heat warning in LA. Hot take.
hot take. There is a snow day tomorrow in
Austin
Canada.
Matthews wins the Rocket and the Selkie.
And the Celtics.
Okay, you went
Ooh.
with both. Okay, I thought I was like
Huge
Rocket.
You know-
I just wrote
You know,
the reason why
I-
I just wrote an article on it. I did research. I actually looked at crazy stats, something Adamo does on every
Give me a high
second of every
five.
breathing day. Virtual high five.
Yep.
I think it's plausible with what he's
Where's
doing.
my-
It's
where's
definitely
my
fair
glasses?
given the
I
fact
don't
that
fit the
Barkov and Mark
uniform.
Stone have both
That
been
is very
out.
true as well. Yes.
Like Patrice Bergeron has missed some time here
It's
and
probably
there,
gonna be Bergeron.
but Bergeron will definitely be in the top 3. I think Barkov and Mark Stone obviously shouldn't be, which pains me because his jersey's over there. But
My top 5 that I listed was, and this is no order: Matthews, Barkov, O'Reilly, Kopitar, and why am I drawing a blank on that other one?
Kopitar, wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
Kopitar was. I looked at his stats and it actually made a little bit more sense. There was one more guy. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but
Bergeron, you said.
Bergeron, Kopitar,
What about I'm
Barkov.
just checking
Matthews,
yeah,
O'Reilly.
Barkov might be different.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Just because if
yeah.
you look at his face-off numbers, and I know voters pay
Oh my
very heavy
God,
attention
dude,
to it.
his
so
face-off
stupid.
numbers.
No,
are
it
fucking
is
ridiculous.
insane.
I don't.
No,
does
but
not
bro,
matter.
it
To
does,
voters,
though.
it does though.
No.
That's
No,
the
I know-
whole
I
part
know to
about
vote
it.
at.
Adamo,
Voters, it
you
does.
played hockey. If your center is winning 55% of his face-offs,
Five.
Yeah.
He's at 60. I think he's at
Oh,
65%.
I would be over the fucking moon. Trust
I
me. I'd
don't
be over
think
the
that
moon.
face-offs has to
But
do with
if
the
my
Selkie.
team,
No, I looked it up. They take
definitely
that into
does.
account.
If my
Why?
team, I don't know, because
That's
it's
so
hard.
weird.
It's hard to quantify defense.
Yes, I
And
found
you
that
don't
out very
Wait,
quickly.
You know
Don't look
why?
at
You know,
stats.
I think you would count face-offs because it's also like if you're winning face-offs like in the defensive zone.
That
because,
was
like,
it.
that
His
could
defensive
equate-
zone face-off percentage is wild. It is like leaps and bounds.
I remember
over
like
the-
Pat Maroon was talking
over some
about
other
it, saying
people.
that
Matthews?
No, I'm
no,
talking O'Reilly.
O'Reilly.
Oh.
I remember
Oh,
like
he's
Pat
weak
Maroon
cracked.
saying like O'Reilly basically wins like every defensive zone. Like they would double shift him if they were in the defensive zone and then just take him out like when they were on the offensive rush,
Yeah.
just for him to win the face-off.
Oh, they used to do it with fucking Frederick Gauthier.
the goat. No, but no.
Leafs legend.
I think
You
that's
asked-
Oh yeah.
a solid take. If
Anyone
you guys
who
want a
dons-
fun, go.
Anyone who dons the Leafs sweaters.
Okay, but
so.
Goat has a special place in everyone's heart just because he's Freddie. the
You know
Goat.
what's like?
Well,
this
No
is
one gives a
funny.
shit about like PA Parento or whatever,
no, but
you know?
what I was gonna say though is like, so like I went to like Leafs and Penguins. Nobody gave a fuck that Kasperi Kapanen was like in his first game back in Toronto. Like there was no tribute, there was no like even a PA speech, like fucking nothing for him.
Yeah, unless you're making big favors for the Leafs, they won't give you a big tribute.
I kind of felt bad because I was like, damn, like I mean, he did like score like an overtime goal against Washington. Like, I mean, he wasn't a slouch.
No, not at all.
Oh, if you guys want a cool defensive stat, it's literally called defensive rating by Evolving Hockey, and
Basketball stat.
yeah, I don't think it's just called defense, but the stat. Anyways, David Kampf is number 3 in the NHL.
Yeah.
Okay.
In total. This is shorthanded and 5-on-5.
Mm-hmm. All situations.
Yeah, no, not power play, which defense, but
that is a player. Him and Bunting, I am super excited to see them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like those are guys like that can end up being difference makers in the playoffs. I'm very excited to see both of them.
This is I'm looking at Patrice Bergeron's. Bergeron's won how many Selkies?
Oh no, I
like
was doing research. He's won.
They should just rename it the Patrice Bergeron Trophy.
He's won like 4, I think.
Yeah, he's having his best statistical defensive season this year.
He's looking to double up on it. He won it last year too.
Yeah, he's murdering everyone else. The second place
face-off dot is crazy. That was one that stood out to me.
Yeah.
His
and you also got to take into account that Brad Marchand hasn't played in half the games because of suspension.
Yeah. Oh, he's been fantastic.
Yeah.
The guy in second place is some rando, Austin Matthews.
What is the minimum games played in order to like determine
a trophy winner?
Like no, to determine like this stat, because like
I have it at 0 right now.
Okay,
and it's
like,
total throughout a season. It's not per game. I could probably
I totally get that, because it's like when you go on the NHL.com app, like some of the stats are kind of bullshit. Like I guess not. Like Ville Husso's like leading the league in goals against average, but he's also played like 20 less games.
Louis Domingue is leading the league in save percentage with a 971. So
okay, that's why like I feel like they need to update their app so like some idiot doesn't pick up Louis Domingue on fantasy. Like, oh wow, I heard he leads the NHL in save percentage, and it's like because he's played 3 games.
Yeah, that's
speaking of Shesterkin, he lost to the Rangers. No more heart conversation.
Oh man, there goes the heart.
There goes the heart. After that one game, he's fucking done. So you can't even beat the Red Wings. What are you doing with your life?
Anyways, we good to put a bow on this bad boy. A very nice birthday bow on the Leafs Line podcast. All right. Well, I'd like to thank you guys first and foremost for hopping on. We had a busy day today, all 4 of us, with exams. We're getting that taken care of. And Jesus. Next week, we'll be getting a bit more content. There's some stuff in the works. You'll be finding out in the upcoming days about what is going to happen with Leafs Line. It is a very interesting situation brewing here. So that'll be in the works for sure. You'll be hearing about it very shortly. But I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank all the fans for tuning in, sticking around for 1 year. What a long year it has been. I sent out a very heartwarming text message a couple of days ago that speaks so truthful to all you 3. Very grateful to have you guys on board, even to my other colleagues that I had on the show. Very grateful for them who helped me start this thing. And I just enjoy every second of it. So thank you guys for hopping on. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys as the fans for tuning in, and have a terrific rest of your evening. There's not much left in this year. But anyways, cheers everyone.